Welcome back to another episode of the Downsizing Roadmap podcast with your hosts, Jody Roscoe and Heather Fisher. We're talking about all things downsizing, from our own experiences with clients to guest experts. Let's make downsizing easier, one conversation at a time.
Hi, welcome back to Downsizing Roadmap. We are talking today about how to choose your next move. The ranch, the condo, the dream home, there's a lot of options out there. So we're going to take a look at what some of those options are, the pros and cons, and how, you can make the best decision for your family.
Yep, I'm Jody Roscoe.
And I'm Heather Fisher.
So welcome back to talk to us. Yeah, I think this is a great topic because, we talk about our 5-step program, and step 1 is kind of being dreamy and thinking about where are we going to go. And this is exactly what we need to talk about, of where we're going to go and what kind of options there are. There's some inside the box options and there's some outside the box options that we can talk about. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think that a lot of times people think downsizing is that final step before a senior living community, something like that. And I think a lot of these options are just what we talk about all the time, that planning your next stage. This could be, when your kids go off to college and you're an empty nester for the first time. This can be, so many stages. You're still working, but you're looking forward to retiring, in the near future. And just that future planning with a dream instead of just settling for whatever comes your way.
Right. I mean, it could be, you're just going to right size your home. It doesn't have to even be bigger. Some people do go bigger, though. They want to, get a house for their kids to come home to.
Yeah.
So it is definitely just what are your next steps and what's that going to look like?
Yeah.
If this house isn't working for you anymore for whatever reasons.
Yeah, definitely the episode about right sizing, which doesn't necessarily mean smaller.
Yeah.
Just fitting your current lifestyle.
Yeah, or it could be vacation, like you said. It could be something totally else. So
yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. So most common types of homes that we have for this life stage, the keys, features that you should be looking for, how to future-proof without giving up the things that you love. And then take a look at the rising trend of buying second homes or vacation homes for retirement use, and doing that maybe earlier, maybe before you're even really ready to move from the home that you have now.
Yeah.
And, get yourself ready for that. So
that one got my wheels turning on, how can I fit that into plans? So we'll talk about that a little bit coming up. And again, these decisions earlier can really set you up for that future that you want, and perhaps being more ready to stay and age in place at that next home that you choose now, versus, finding yourself needing a change when something changes.
Yes. Okay. So, what are we talking about? I mean, not necessarily retired, and definitely, you could be going into, an independent living place, but you could also just be just having your kids come out of high school or college and just being ready to change up things a little bit. So anywhere in those seasons of life, I think will work for us having a conversation about what this could look like.
Yeah, I love looking at it as being proactive, which is what we say in step 1, be dreamy. You're being proactive instead of reactive to the things that may come along in those later in life stages.
And I think sometimes we are just so used to what we have, and we just don't spend any time thinking about what we could have. And we just kind of go along with it, and it might not be working. And then it might not be working a little more and even a little more, but you just kind of, as you ease into that, you just kind of don't realize what things could be different. And so we're just saying, stop and take a look and, give yourself some thought about what could be different. So common things that motivate people are, yard maintenance, like just the house is too big, the yard is too big, it's just too much to take care of. I think that we hear that a lot.
Yes.
Especially when you've had the kids doing some of those chores and now they're gone. So that's one common motivation. More freedom to travel or spend time with each other or with your grandkids or near your kids if they've moved, to another area. Downsizing while you're still healthy and able to control this process. I know we always talk about that a lot. Make those choices while you are making those choices and you're the one to make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes those choices easier later when you're dealing with a health issue or something else.
For sure.
Because you've prepared.
And then some people just want to unlock their equity for experiences and not square footage. We've had such a rise in equity in our properties in the last 5 or 6 years. And, you can take that money and do something different with it, go travel or, whatever that looks like, or buy the vacation home. Maybe you separate into 2 smaller homes and, you have one here and one, where it's warm and or whatever that looks like.
Yeah. So many options. I think that, we have a stat here that 64% of retirees said their ideal retirement involves moving to a different home, and over 50% say that they do plan to downsize. So I guess what our philosophy always is if that's on the horizon, make those plans early and make a dream and enjoy the benefits that come with all of the things we were just talking about, transferring that equity, making life easier, less maintenance, less work, just more freedom to get up and go.
Yeah. The NAR has a seller's home profile, and in there they talk about that 43% of buyers aged 55 to 74 have purchased a single level home. So the stairs on some level are like, okay, we're done with that. 43% of those. And then 32% specifically cited that they wanted less maintenance as their top priority because bigger homes do take more effort. It takes more effort to clean, takes more effort to, do the lawn usually and maintenance, and then even utilities and heating and all that stuff. It's not physical effort, but it takes more.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were saying earlier, the more creeps up on you. Mm-hmm. Things that were easy to do.
Or you enjoyed doing.
Or you had more help because kids still lived at home.
Or you didn't enjoy doing if somebody else did it.
Right. But, if you had chores for those kids and things, suddenly it's all on your shoulders, and that's a different way to be living. So should we talk about some of the different home types to consider and the pros and cons?
Yeah, what people are usually picking when they're making these decisions. So the absolute number one thing that people say is they want a ranch or, a single story home so that they're not going either upstairs to the bedroom, sometimes downstairs to the laundry, whatever that looks like. They want it all on one floor so that that's easy to take care of.
Yeah, and if that's a ranch that is in an established neighborhood, you might get, the landscaping is already in place, maybe a lot of perennials that don't take as much maintenance and starting from scratch. If it's an existing home, you just have to weigh how much updates may or may not be required. Yeah,
and how much land. I mean, different areas, we have ranch homes that have little yards, and we have ranch homes that have big yards in our area, and your area may be the same way. And so, we don't want necessarily to have a smaller house on a half an acre that you still have to do a whole bunch of landscaping, or you love gardening and that's going to be your thing that you do, and you get the smaller house. So you have to just think about those things. What is it really you're looking for? Do you want to spend time on the yard? Do you not want to spend time on the yard? The one story is great for being able to stay for a really long time. And then, yes, a lot of them may need updates. And do you want to do that, or do you want to buy one that somebody has already bought and updated? Because those are options too.
Yeah, absolutely. So patio homes, that's another option a lot of people consider. Mm-hmm. And a patio home is typically a freestanding, single family dwelling. But then you have some of the amenities or services that come along similar to a condo. So you're paying, an HOA fee, and, varies by community, but typically maybe snow removal on the driveways or lawn mowing are included, or sometimes exterior maintenance of the home or the home itself. It really just depends, but you're kind of getting the condo lifestyle but detached from the other units in the community.
Yeah, and sometimes the community has more amenities like a pool or, things like
Maybe
that.
a clubhouse and fitness center.
Yep.
Typically, that's on a smaller lot.
Yeah.
So, it's being mowed for you, but it's also not a lot of landscaping needed, or, just by definition, the patio home maybe.
Yeah, and this is a kind of a newer concept.
Yeah.
So those homes are generally going to be newer. Not necessarily new, but like, not 100 years old or 50 years
Right.
old even. Those concept, that was a newer kind of concept of a patio home,
Right.
where people were saying, hey, I like this concept, but I don't really want to be attached to another property. I want my own, little space. And so that's what patio homes are great for. And usually they're going to be a little bit newer, so maybe not in as much need of updating.
Yeah. And the consideration there would be the amount of the monthly fees in exchange for the amenities you're getting are those ones you would use and not be able to replicate in a different situation.
In just a regular single family home.
Correct.
Without the, what is it that, that's offering?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Condo, same thing. So we have patio home, condo, and townhome, and those are all actually really similar. So we're just kind of going to go through what each of those are. But the condo usually means that they're attached to each other in some way. And so here we have a lot of quads that are they're just kind of like a giant ranch, honestly.
I think those quads are so nice because they really are designed in our area. They're designed very well where the garages sort of separate the common area walls, so you're not hearing another resident right through the wall on their day to day. And typically, there's an entrance to each one on each side of the building. So it still feels very much like someone is walking up to just your home.
Yep,
not
your own entrance.
a bunch of doors right in a row.
Yeah.
So I think they're very nice and typically have, a little more square footage in a lot of them than, a small apartment or something. So you can really make a comfortable space out of them and still feel very much like it's not fully a single family home, but that it's your own.
Yeah, you don't really
space.
have to see the other.
You aren't seeing your neighbors 5 feet away.
Yeah.
In that style.
Yeah, and that's just one layout of condos. There are all kinds of layout of condos. I mean, we also have condos that are, like almost like apartment buildings that have like a main door, and then you go inside, and then there's doors, and then up the stairs and doors. So when you're out looking for condos, you'll have to pay attention to what that looks like. And, do you want a first floor one that actually has a second floor above you, or do you want one that's just your own, kind of ranch style connected?
Yeah.
And it's in the same boat as patio homes regarding how much their condo fee is, what the amenities are, do they have a pool, what's being taken care of. Condos, the outside is normally taken care of because since they attach, the whole building has one roof. So, that roof is going to be in your condo fee, and it's all going to be replaced at one time. So, so the cons on condos, I think, depending on how they're built and how well they're built, are some shared walls where you might hear some people or things like that. But the pluses, I think, are also, you could go and travel and leave that for a while and nobody, nothing's going to mess with it because there are people in the same building as you are, and the building of the outside's being taken care of and all of that. So that's a nice turnkey kind of property to have if you think you might want to have a vacation property somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And a townhome, like you said, very similar. Typically, a townhome is 2 stories. So that's a factor to weigh as to whether that's your choice currently, but it may, the trade-off may be the location where they are or what's available in your area. But typically that would be the only difference between the townhome and the condo is the stairs.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I think when you're really thinking long-term, stairs just might not be the right choice.
Right.
So think on that. But, and people are like, I'm great now. I'm like, of course you are. And we want to stay great, and that's fine. but just giving yourself those kind of outs if you ever need them.
Yeah.
So you don't have to move if you don't want to.
Yeah.
So not necessarily smaller. I think those are all the smaller options. You know, you're going to go down to a ranch, a smaller ranch. There are big ranches, but a smaller ranch. Patio, condo, townhome, something like that. But number 5 is like a dream home or a forever home, right? So not necessarily smaller, just maybe smarter. Maybe it's a big ranch. Maybe it's you do a custom build and you get, you know, everything you've wanted. Maybe you do want more land and a pool so the grandkids come. You know, who knows what that looks like. But
well, I think there's a lot of people that you know, they maybe had their first home way back when they were single or just married, and they had their first home, and then you kind of move to the family home. But when you're buying it, it's usually, you know, 1 or 2 kids are there, more kids coming, and you're buying that because of the needs of the kids, and you then stay because they're in their neighborhood with their friends and the school and all of that. And it wasn't your dream home for your adult lifestyle. It was your home that worked best for your family. And so you've had all these years where your income might have grown or your assets, and you've, you know, maybe paid off a good portion of that family home or fully paid it off. And now's the opportunity, instead of staying there just because it worked for the number of kids you had or that lifestyle of the younger family, like, now's your time to get dreamy and really look at what amenities would I choose just now and for the future. And what we're saying on this one is, if you're doing that, just look, you know, 20 years ahead and see how you can integrate some things that you might not have thought of that you'll need later, so that you can stay in that dream home longer. Yeah. And so it might not be bigger or smaller. It might be bigger, or it might be the same size, just a different configuration. And maybe it has, like you said, different amenities. It has, you know, a pool, or it's in an area that's, you know, something that you just wanted to. Just the convenience of maybe, you know, a bigger, more luxurious bathroom, or, you know, more pampering yourself with
like
the choices.
Gourmet kitchen if you cook, or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So one strategy that we have touched on briefly earlier, but can be a really amazing thing to consider if you're, you know, that younger, thinking about downsizing in the future, but not sure it's right for you, is the second home strategy. And this is a fantastic idea, I think, where, you know, if you have that dream of, well, someday I want to retire to the beach or to the lake, or, you know, I would love to live somewhere warmer, or even a location close to kids or other family, but you're not quite ready to make that full-time move. You're still working, you haven't retired yet, you still have a lot of commitments where you are now. This is an ideal win-win. And it's basically buying a second home, whether that's a condo in the new location or any of the homes we talked about, but buying it with the plan of it will work for you if you wanted to full-time make that your home when you're ready. And so you get to enjoy it on weekends or for a few weeks or months a year as a vacation home. And you could potentially rent it out when you're not there, get some income to help pay it off, or to, you know, use that income for whatever. And then it's there waiting for you because you've made those choices when you bought it, so that it will work for you if that's your future forever home.
And you're building that equity now while you're working. So 5 years from now, that house is going to cost more money than it costs now.
Yeah.
And some areas, you might actually price yourself out of that area by the time that you're ready. If it's 5 years or 10 years from now,
Yeah.
when you're ready to, buy in that area, it might just be so much more expensive than it is now, especially for, certain vacation areas that are specific and things like that. So you will get the benefit while you're, have it, because it won't be rented all of the time. So you could potentially spend, weekends there, or,
You
learning
set
the
that
area.
schedule of when it's available to rent versus when you're planning to be there.
Yeah, if you wanted to take Christmas and always be there, you do that. And then, you can learn the area, learn the community, build relationships in that space while you're still working, and it's paying itself off. And potentially, rent it for passive income.
Yeah, amazing opportunity that I definitely
We do. I mean, we know people who are doing this, so that's Yep.
Yeah, and a great way to attract your adult kids to come visit you.
Yeah,
pick a real nice location.
Yeah, ask them where they want to go.
Yeah, so I think that is definitely something we should all consider. And then if you're looking to buy any of these types of homes, there's 3 L's that you should look at to decide what works for you. And this is very specific to what each of our needs are. So the 3 L's, we can talk about each of them, are location, layout, and lifestyle.
Okay.
So location is thinking about where that perfect home is located. Is it, and that is what you're looking for. Maybe it's you want to be more central to shopping and restaurants and walking distance to, coffee or your church or any of those things. Maybe the location is centered about your proximity to your family and who is going to be there to help you, and also who you just being close to grandkids. Other family. Maybe it is, you're doing this because you want to travel and see the world, so you're picking something that's easy to get to the airport. And I mean, there's a lot to consider, and all of that can help narrow down where the location should be. Also, whether you're looking, depending on where you're coming from, are you looking for something with more peace and quiet and you're looking to get out of a neighborhood? Or are you looking for more social and active location? The perfect home in the wrong location doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, some people have areas that they've gone to for vacationing for years, and they've always said, oh gosh, we would love to settle down here, later. And just, you can do that sooner than later. You do have to kind of look at the local regulations if you're thinking about renting it out, just making sure that that's a possibility. Some areas have different rules about renting out or not renting out. So that's something to think about. And even if you can't do it as, some kind of a vacation rental, you could potentially do it as a short-term rental, like even 6 months out of the year, or, something like that. So you do want to make sure that the local area allows that. But yeah, so location, just kind of picking whether it's a place you've always gone or if it's a place you think you want to go. I mean, that would just be fun in the next couple of years to just go vacation at different places and be like, is this the place? Is this the place? Go visit them and, look at real estate a little bit and, see if that's a place you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then layout. When you look at the layout, is the primary bedroom on the main floor? Is it easy and accessible for bathrooms? Are the laundry and the kitchen on the main floor? What kind of storage is there in the house? Those kind of things. I mean, maybe you won't need storage because you've done such an amazing job.
Downsizing all of your things.
But you may need a little bit. But what does that layout look like, and is that going to work for you later down the road? Not just necessarily does it work as a vacation rental.
Yeah. Laundry seems like such a small thing too, and we've met several clients recently that when you add the steps plus carrying a laundry basket, up and down the steps, that can be such a factor on why the home doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
So definitely something to consider.
Yeah. So, and then ask yourself what you're going to do in that house when you end up living there. Are you going to want to have guests? Do you need guest rooms? Do you want it to be a split, layout so that your room's on one side and the guest rooms are on the other side? What do you want that to look like? Are you still going to want a garden, or do you want a yard? Do you need space to work from home and do hobbies? What do those hobbies look like? Maybe you need an extra, shed to, do woodworking or, something like that. Or maybe it's just a hobby room or whatever. But, start thinking about what you're going to do in those spaces. Do you want an active social community? There are plenty of communities that have clubhouses and pools that are active with their people that live there, and they do all kinds of things together. Or are you more solitude and you just kind of want to be soaking up that area yourself and not necessarily doing that. So this is all about that first step of being dreamy, honestly. Like just all of that, like what could my life look like? What would I want it to look like if I had all the choices, what would that be? And just start making lists for yourself and write down what those things are, and that picture will eventually all come into place together.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about being dreamy and doing all of that, if you're at the point where it's like, I am just going to build the home that works for me, there's a lot of ways, if you're future looking now, that you can incorporate a lot of things that will serve you well later in ways that are very, invisible and beautiful and part of the home, without having to come back and, make changes and add things. So if you are choosing a new construction community or looking to custom build, don't forget about, putting in no steps. Even if it's a ranch, we talked about this before, there can be
2 or 3 steps to get into it.
Yeah.
Which you don't ever even think about until you can't, do it, or somebody that you want to come be with you can't do it.
Yeah.
Your mom or your dad or whatever can't get up those 2 steps is really hard. And I think until you've had that happen, which I have had that happen, until you've had that happen, you don't realize, you don't even think about that you even have steps, or you don't have a handrail, or you don't have this, or you don't have that, because we just pop around the house and don't think about it. But a couple steps can be a barrier to entry.
Yeah.
So a no-step entry, lever-style doors, door handles.
0 entry showers.
Yeah, which are beautiful. It doesn't even feel like, we're not saying, make a place that's ready to have somebody who, needs a lot of help if that's not where you're at. But those things can just be incorporated into the design of the house beautifully, and then can work later
if
you need to.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of builders are taking pieces of this into account and naturally incorporating them into floor plans that we don't see in older homes that were built, quite 40, 50 years ago, the wider doorways. And it doesn't have to be every doorway, but having, that 3-foot wide path where someone could get into the primary bedroom and bathroom and through the main living spaces can make a world of difference if someone needs that later on. And other doorways can be smaller. It doesn't need to be the whole house, but think about what that would look like to live somewhere if you needed that. And then, of course, incorporating a lot of smart technology. There are tools to just make living in your home easier. And
that's easier now and later. It's just nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So talking about, options with new construction specifically, or finding one of these exists, but it seems there's a whole trend on multi-generational living. Mm-hmm. So I think that is an option we should talk about. Yeah. That is when you are, perhaps combining resources with that adult child and their family, or one or the other is deciding to make that investment. But really, I've noticed, a lot of builders are offering options on plans like this specifically for multi-generations to live together.
Yep.
And sometimes that is an attached but completely separate unit, we'll say, with maybe just a connecting door when you need to access or want to access each other's spaces. And sometimes it's just a very comfortable, mother-in-law suite is what it would be called, with the shared common areas. So lots of different ways to make that work for your family. But that is sometimes a way to overcome some of the financial pieces, to just combine that, two households into one in ways that would work for both people. It definitely gives you that proximity both ways to, help with grandkids or to be home, when kids are home, or, lots of things that I think used to happen years ago when families were living in very close proximity to different generations. And then we kind of spread out all over the country in families. And I think there's a little bit of a return maybe
We're
that we're
definitely seeing that. We're definitely seeing a return to that where people are saying, hey, we need a place for, my mom or my parents to live, or, and we're going to put our monies together and we're going to buy a bigger house, and that'll give us that option, for all of us to have that. And yeah, I think having like their own little suite or area, like two separate houses, basically, all in under one roof usually, but two separate kitchens and, areas that they can be.
There's definitely different levels of integration, but so many options there that people are starting to consider, and it's a really great way to be close enough but still have your independence and just know that someone's there for you and you're there for someone else.
And usually when we're talking about this with people, it's the parents not always needing a whole bunch of help. It's just they might want to be at their vacation home, 6 months out of the year, and they, need a place to stay in the, the off season of that, and being able to get the kids off the bus is super useful, and having your grandparents in your life is really an amazing gift, and so there's just so many pluses that can happen around it.
Yeah, I think it's a way people are sharing their resources or that generational wealth as well, sharing it now versus this is years later. If you have that ability to put that financial stake into that house, if you're also helping your adult kid and their family as well, that can be a great thing that people like to do.
Well, and giving them that gift now instead of when you're gone, just giving that earlier and letting them reap the benefit of that, and yourself being there.
And you're reaping the benefit of being so close and having that family dynamic all together.
Yep. Yeah. So all kinds of options when we're talking about where could we go next, right? So from the ranch home to the condo to the multi-generational home to the dream home, to the vacation home, there are just so many things that you can think about and different ways that you can plan out what might be coming next. So I guess what we're saying is start dreaming,
Be dreamy and be creative, and then let us know how we can help turn that into what you're looking for. As real estate agents, this is what we do, and have a whole network of agents all over, the country that can help you take that dream into which option ticks those boxes, and you have more options than you think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So reach out to us at downsizingroadmap.com. If you need an agent or if you're in our area, we can help you. And start thinking about all of those things that you can do, and we will definitely help you find the right home that fits whatever that dream is that you're trying to create.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jody. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Thanks for joining us on the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little downsizing inspiration. Have questions or ideas for future episodes? Reach out to us on our website, www.downsizingroadmap.com. Until next time, let's keep simplifying and moving forward.